Welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Siriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball, kind of whenever. I am your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I am doing well today. We got more All-Star voting to go over, and I wanted to talk about one guy who I think deserves his own segment rather than a how about that, because I feel like it is kind of too generic for a how about that in a weird way. But we need to talk about this guy. Do you want to just get into that right now?
Yeah, we're talking about Julio Rodriguez, who's just been out of this world lately.
Yes.
Yeah, so Julio Rodriguez, he debuted this year, opening day. I believe he's played every single game this year. I know
right.
When you go to his baseball reference page, his games are bolded.
Okay.
Not the only thing that's bolded on that page, by the way. Leads the league in stolen bases. But he started out a little bit slow, but he's really turned things up ever since the start of his season. Since May 6th, he is hitting .299, 357 on base percentage, 570 slugging is pretty remarkable from Julio Rodriguez. And he also has a 928 OPS and a 168 weighted runs created plus a lot. And that's not, that's where the story kind of starts, though, because he has tremendous.
I would say, what date did you use there?
May 6th.
Okay, I used a layered one where he was doing slightly better. So take into account Chris's information very seriously, but also take a look at mine as well. Since May 15th, he is slashing 299, 356, 598 for a 954 OPS, 175 weighted runs created plus as well.
Yeah, and this is a rookie. This is his first year in the league. He's
21 year old.
21 years old.
I think both of us are older than him.
Yep.
Yeah.
He
was born December 29th, 2000. Yep. That's humbling.
He's been unbelievable. Currently leads all of baseball in stolen bases. He has 20 stolen bases. He's bringing the stolen base back on his own. Pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then along with that, getting extra base hits like a madman, and also very, very good defense. You tweeted out a stat earlier, which was pretty remarkable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Julio is the only player in Major League Baseball with hard hit rate, sprint speed, and outs above average in the 90th percentile. The most remarkable thing about that specifically is that it covers three entirely different assets of the game. It's, how well you're hitting the ball. Like, if you're connecting, sprint speed obviously is running, outs above average is defense. If you're good at all three of those, you are probably like one of the most elite players in the game. And Julio Rodriguez is the only one that is 90th percentile on all three of those.
Yeah, he's really spectacular, and it's like, he's only 21, so he's still kind of figuring things out technically.
The only thing that he really still has to figure out is walks and strikeouts, and that's, it's your first time seeing Major League pitching. Like, it shouldn't be a surprise or a concern to anyone that his strikeout numbers are high, his walk numbers could be higher, and that's gonna come. Like, that's gonna figure itself out eventually. And if he keeps doing everything else, we have one of the best players in the league on our hands, undoubtedly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why, when he came up, I believe this year he was the number 3 prospect in baseball entering the year. He's been top 5 for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he's just been at the top of the heap. Everyone's kind of known he's been he's been good. And also, I should mention all these stats are as of before their game against San Diego on Tuesday, because I just went to Savant.
Because just in case he homers again, like he did yesterday.
Yeah,
he hit the top balcony of the Western Metal Supply building.
Yeah, I was literally just going to see like what the projected distance on his home run was. Yeah.
While you're doing that, I'll just tell you one more stat that I collected. Since May 15th, the data used earlier, he has 2.5 FOR, which ranks tied for 5th in the majors, and he also has 26 barrels as a center fielder with speed. And the only players that have more than that are Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber, and Shohei
Ohtani. Yeah, and they're great players, but they're also not 90th percentile outs above average and stealing a bag, every 4 games or so on average. Yeah, he's been unbelievable. His home run yesterday went 429 feet, pulling the ball too. So, I mean, that's like 100 feet over the fence. One stat, a historic stat I have on Julio Rodriguez, I will say. Julio Rodriguez, there's only been one other player, 21 or younger, to have 15 plus home runs, 15 plus doubles, and 20 plus stolen bases in their first 81 games of a season. And that player is Mike Trout in 2012, who, he won Rookie of the Year. He finished second in MVP. It took Miguel Cabrera winning the Triple Crown for Mike Trout not to win MVP that year. So
I believe
that's the type of company that Julio Rodriguez is surrounding himself with the start he's having to this season.
Sarah Langs had a tweet. I just need to find it.
That is somewhere. Always a good. Oh, that's how you know something's good. Something good's coming.
Yes.
If you want to get my ears perked up, you say Sarah Langs had a tweet.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Julio Rodriguez is the first player since at least 1900. Of course, game logs only go back to 1901, so that's how far back we can check. With 15 plus home runs and 20 plus stolen bases in their first 81 career games.
Oh yeah, 81 career games.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I can get that on StatHead. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
You could.
Oh,
it's in the span finder.
I was just too lazy. I just did.
That's fair.
81 games of a season, 21 or younger. But yeah.
I mean, Mike Trout did play in 2011 and was okay-ish.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Rodriguez, what he does in the batter's box, what he does in the outfield, and what he does on the bases, it's a combination you don't see a lot, and something that should be cherished. And he's looks like also, he's putting himself at the forefront of the AL Rookie of the Year conversation as well. And just the all-star conversation in general. I think he's top 15 in all of MLB overall in F4. Yeah, let's take a look. He's 16th. Yeah, 16th in all of Major League Baseball in F4. Yeah, should definitely be an all-star. This when in Los Angeles. So yeah.
You wanna hear a take, Chris?
Yeah, let's hear a take.
A Mariners run is coming.
I can buy into that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've checked, but do you know how far out they are from the third wild card spot right now?
Maybe 4 games.
Exactly 4 games. You got it. Good job.
Yeah.
They're within striking distance. They are, if you look at the wild card standings right now in the American League, it's the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Rays are top 3. Cleveland is behind all of them, and then the Mariners are right behind with a 40-42 record. They're almost back at 500. And not to mention, they've won 7 out of their last 10. They have a +8 run differential, which, a lot of people were concerned about that last year. And one thing that I think is pretty interesting is Robbie Ray has been pitching much better lately. Julio has been getting going. Unfortunately, Ty France got hurt, and right now there isn't really a timetable for his return. So that's a tough time for him to go down. But I mean, if Julio is going to lead the charge here, like this Mariner team can make a comeback and they can make the playoffs, especially in a division where they're going to be facing the A's. They're going to be facing the Angels, who have been struggling. They've only faced them twice this year, so they got them plenty more from here until the end of the season. They're also going to have the Rangers, who are, they've had their runs. They've been a little inconsistent, but if they play those games well and if they can manage themselves against the Astros, look out. Just by the way, Robbie Ray, we talked about like his worst inning in every starts, and in his last 5 games, he has an 0.80 ERA.
Yeah.
With 40 strikeouts in 33 2/3 innings. I've also only 9 walks, 1 home run allowed. He actually developed a sinker very recently, which has brought him a lot of success, like I previously mentioned in the last few games. He's finally becoming the ace that they signed up for. Everything seems to be clicking right now, and I think this team is not out of it yet.
Yeah. And also another guy who was an addition who previously was, kind of disappointing, Jesse Winker, who actually, he probably, he's been appealing to suspension. He probably will, have to pay some sort of suspension. But in his last 13 games, he's hitting .311 with a .948 OPS. So he's starting to turn it around, and looked like the hitter that the Mariners intended to trade for back in the past offseason. So, if the guys they acquired can turn it around like they have been, and Julio Rodriguez can play how he's been playing, Mariners have enough pieces to where they can, especially we've mentioned it a lot. Six playoff teams in each league now, brings a lot more possibilities. So yeah, absolutely, the Mariners can make a run for a playoff spot.
I'm gonna add a few more points to this actually. Looking at the pitching, I told Robbie Ray obviously, but Logan Gilbert, I know he's your guy, Chris, but he's been doing extremely well for them at 2.66 ERA, and George Kirby as well. What's that?
He's been doing well the whole year.
He has been. He was an early how about that of mine. But also George Kirby has been really interesting to me. He's 24 years old. He has 8.7 strikeouts per 9 and 1.2 walks per 9, which is, I mean, as a 24-year-old, that's pretty historically good, I would say. His problem is that he's allowed 1.8 home runs per 9, which is obviously a lot, but that's something that will flatten out. There's no way he's just gonna go especially with his stuff. He's just missing location right now, and that's gonna happen. But that's gonna go down.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be a force in that rotation as well.
Yeah, the Mariners, before the season started, we both had the Mariners as a playoff team. We both saw the potential in them. They had a 90-win year last year. So when they started out poorly, we were kind of confused of what was going on. And yeah, them stepping it up a little bit over the past couple weeks. Now we're like, all right, Mariners are coming back. They're 2 games away from getting to 500, and if they're above 500 before the All-Star break, there's a lot of possibilities for them.
Yeah. I think a run's coming, and I think Julio Rodriguez is going to be at the forefront.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's going to have his 1995 moment.
Yeah.
Because he's been getting a lot of comparisons to Griffey as well. I know there was a stat that I saw somewhere where apparently through their first 79 games, they had the same batting average, RBI, runs scored, home runs, or something like that, the exact same between the two of them.
That's wild. Yeah, on the 2022 Mariners page, Rodriguez is the wins per replacement leader for them. So he has he's been leading the way so far, and it could go further.
Yes.
If we're being optimistic in Seattle. So we talked about how Rodriguez, he should probably be in the on the American League All-Star roster. And speaking of All-Stars, we are now in phase 2 of All-Star voting. They seem to change it every year. Now there's 2 candidates for each position, which is weird. So
Each position, 5 in the outfield.
yeah.
Well, actually, technically 4 in the outfield because 2 of them are already in because they got the most votes.
So it makes the poor voting in phase 1 more impactful, which I don't like.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, it should be at least 3 guys. Like
it should just be not fan voting. We're being completely honest with ourselves here.
I mean, yeah. Every year we're just going to advocate for us 2 picking the All-Stars every year.
Yeah.
It would be much more fun. Or like Sabermetrics Reddit, just have them
Yeah.
referencing like PCRA.
Exactly.
For their All-Star selections. But yeah, I mean there's the voting, I will say, with the options we're given, not very hard.
No.
Or I should undo my votes. So at first base, in the American League, we have Ty France and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. In the National League, we have Paul Goldschmidt and Pete Alonso. So you have that. Second base, it's Jose Altuve, and we're going to see a theme here, Santiago Espinal. If you're wondering what team Espinal is on, he's on the Toronto Blue Jays. In the National League, we have Ozzie Albies and Jazz Chisholm. At third base, in the American League, we have probably the hardest vote, Rafael Devers, Jose Ramirez. In the National League, we have a pretty hard vote there too, with Manny Machado and Nolan Arenado. In the American League at shortstop, Tim Anderson, Bo Bichette. That's a classic Blue Jays moment. National League, it is Dansby Swanson and Trey Turner. Then at catcher, in the American League, we have Alejandro Kirk and Jose Trevino. In the National League, at catcher, Wilson Contreras and Travis d'Arnaud. Then in the outfield with the American League, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., that's odd, George Springer, Giancarlo Stanton, and then, of course, Mike Trout. Aaron Judge, he was the leading vote getter, so he automatically just gets a starting spot, I believe. Yeah, he gets a starting spot in the All-Star game, very deservedly so. In the National League, the leading vote getter was Ronald Acuna Jr., who, I mean, I don't know how many games he's played. I think he's done well in the games he's played, but he hasn't played that many games. And then also in the National League outfield, you have between Mookie Betts, Adam Duvall, Sterling Marte, and Jock Peterson to choose from. And then with the designated hitter, you have Yordan Alvarez and Shohei Ohtani in the American League, and then William Contreras and Bryce Harper to choose from in the National League. A lot of Braves and Blue Jays representation.
Yes, a lot of that. Do we want to just get into our votes?
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we'll start out at first base. Who do you got?
So Ty France does have the numbers, but he is hurt, and I don't know if he's going to be in the All-Star game or not. There's not much of a timetable for his return, I don't believe. So realistically, the vote should go to Vlad Jr. since, he's actually going to be able to play. No timetable for return. He's eligible to be back right now, but he's not. But I would probably I'll probably still say Ty France just for statistics' sake.
Yeah, for reference, Ty France has 2.3 F4. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is at 1.8. Similar on the no, yeah, Ty France has 20 more weighted runs created plus than Vladdy Jr.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree. Like France is more deserving, but like you don't know if he's going to be able to play anyways.
That vote's really not going anywhere. That's the thing.
Yeah, but like
yeah, I mean, I guess it does mean a bit for Ty France that like it'll gain him like because especially if he's a pre-arb player, like he'll get, hey, I was an all-star on his arbitration hearings.
yeah,
Like, that'll be definitely good for him.
and it's like he could still get first place, and then like you just throw Vladdy in. Anyway.
Exactly, because like spoiler alert, the same conflict exists with Bryce Harper and William Contreras, where yeah, Harper is more deserving statistically, but he's not going to be there.
Yeah. Yep.
But Bryce, like, if Bryce loses this to William Contreras, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know the guy personally, but is he losing sleep over not getting the All-Star nod over William Contreras because he got hurt? Maybe, but probably not as much as Ty France would if he lost because he got hurt to Vladdy Jr.
Yeah, because one of them is on a 13-year, $330 million contract, and one of them is not.
Yeah, and one of them is simply at a stage where he's just trying to win games for his team. One of them is, obviously trying to do the same, trying to be a part of something big in the city of Seattle, but also, there's a lot in it for himself personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we go to the National League, where pick's kind of easy. Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, there's really nothing really needs to be said. Paul Goldschmidt is an MVP candidate in the National League. He might be the leading MVP candidate in the National League right now with the way that he's been playing. No offense, no disrespect to Pete Alonso, but this one should not even be remotely close.
Yeah, and Alonso's having an all-star season, but he
is.
Start it first.
I would also love to see Goldschmidt finally win an MVP.
Yeah.
Like, that dude deserves it. He's been in the top 3 like a million times. And it's weird because he's never been good enough to deserve it, but he's always been good enough to be there. So I would think it would be cool for him to finally have the year where it's like, it's Paul Goldschmidt. Like, let's stop asking questions.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice. Then at second base in the American League. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Like,
I think I like Santiago Espinal. I think it's like Santiago Espinal to me is like, oh cool, the Blue Jays have this other guy that's doing pretty well.
Yeah, true.
Like that's what I see him as. It's like he's like an added bonus to that team almost.
Yeah.
It was like that one year when Sandy Leon just randomly started hitting really well for the Red Sox, and it was like, oh, like we have this good offense, and now suddenly Sandy Leon. It's like to make a more modern example, it's like what Matt Carpenter is for the Yankees right now. It's like the offense is rolling on all cylinders. They have so many stars, and it's like, oh, here comes this guy that was released on a minor league deal that's now in our everyday lineup and is hitting key home runs for us. Like that's how I see Santiago Espinal.
Yeah, Espinal's been pretty cool for Toronto. I mean, like, he's had a good season. He's had a 105 winning runs per
Like I do not mean any disrespect to him, but he's not an all-star.
Yeah. Jose Altuve has a 159 winning runs created plus, and Santiago Espinal is at 105. So, and then along with other factors, Altuve is the guy to go to there. National League, that's also, first of all, so it's Jazz Chisholm versus Ozzie Albies. First of all, Albies has a fractured foot.
And will not be there.
And also, that's not even the number one factor of why he wouldn't be an all-star starter.
Correct.
He has a 690.
He has a sub 700 OPS. Yeah, no, Jazz Chisholm's the easy choice here. Because he's fun.
Yeah.
Like I hope, I think he'd be good to watch on a national stage. Yeah. I mean, looking up and down this lineup, like he fits right in with guys like Machado, Goldschmidt, Betts, like guys who are going to be in that National League lineup that are guys. I think Jazz Chisholm deserves to be there.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to watch in the home run derby too.
I agree.
would be a good show. Okay, this is the big one. American League third base.
I've put a lot of thought into this. No matter what you say, you're not wrong. And I'm going to go with a tiebreaker here, and it's such a cheap tiebreaker, but Jose Ramirez has gotten screwed so many times, just in any facet of awards. MVP, the all MLB team, anything, contracts, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Jose Ramirez has forever gotten the short end of the stick. And, like, you know what? I feel like we just need to throw him a bone here.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, they've had a similar offensive production out of the batter's box, but Ramirez has the edge base running wise. And then in terms of outs above average defensively, he has the edge defensively. So, yeah, we're both Red Sox fans here, but we're also big Jose Ramirez fans. And, I'll give Ramirez the nod as well.
Yeah, knowing what that man has been through as far as, things that are out of his control, I can't contribute to that. I can't look back at my life and be like, wow, Jose Ramirez's best season, and I was a part of why he didn't start the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Like, the guy should already have an MVP. He should be making bank somewhere else.
Yeah. Should be on should be, well, should be on a $200 million contract.
Yes.
And then another interesting vote, National League third baseman between Manny Machado and Nolan Arenado. What are your thoughts?
I love the sort of rhyming last names there.
Yeah.
Machado, Arenado. I'm going to go with Manny on this one. He's just had a tremendous year, through and through. He has had some injury problems, but he's been able to fight through them at every step. I don't know. There's not really much else to say.
They've been kind of neck and neck, generally speaking. However, Manny Machado has slightly better offense out of the batter's box. They have very similar defense. They're both Gold Glove quality defenders.
Mm-hmm.
But Manny Machado has 7 stolen bases. Nolan Arenado has 0.
There's also the intangible of the fact that Manny Machado is playing probably the best baseball that he's played since he signed with the Padres, while Fernando Tatis Jr. is out, and he's been keeping them afloat, in that time. They're, I believe, like 4 or 5 games behind the Dodgers right now. I know that, they had a rough weekend against them this weekend, but I mean, they're still in it in the time that the face of their franchise has been out, and that is very largely due to Manny Machado.
Yeah. So we both give Machado the vote there, for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
American League shortstop. It's between Tim Anderson and Bo Bichette. I think we'll both take Anderson.
Yeah.
Even though Anderson.
Do you want to just move on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. We'll do that. National League shortstop. You have Dansby Swanson and Trey Turner. Pretty interesting there.
Yes, you do.
Dansby Swanson has been one of the better defenders this year. Trey Turner has not. But, similar offense production out of the batter's box. Swanson has an 868 OPS. Turner has an 850 OPS. Swanson has 12 stolen bases. Turner has 16. Oddly enough, Dansby Swanson has a higher BSR, which is base running runs measured by Fangraphs, than Trey Turner. Personally, I give Dansby Swanson the edge.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you do the same?
I would also give Dansby the edge. I did vote for Trey Turner in phase 1 of voting, but Dansby Swanson has just done so much for that Braves lineup and defense. ever since then that I have changed my vote.
Yeah, he's been. I mean, he was a how about that of mine 2 episodes ago. And American League catcher Alejandro Kirk.
These
you know,
these options are so funny, and you know what? It's not even like you can't even really chalk this one up to Yankees and Blue Jays fans stuffing the ballots.
yeah, like American League catcher was a real tie up until Alejandro Kirk just became the best player in baseball.
Yeah.
Um,
With that being said, that's our vote.
yeah, Kirk takes the way. And then you have Wilson Contreras versus Travis d'Arnaud. I think that's Contreras.
Yeah, that's got to be a Contreras pick, no doubt.
Then in the outfield, American League outfield options are probably not what they should be. I should relook at the
whatever
at the rankings, but Aaron Judge leading vote getter, that I get.
That's correct.
Mike Trout's in there, but then you look at American League F4 leaders actually should go not qualified, but 0 plate appearances if we're looking at F4. So the rankings go: Aaron Judge, Yordan Alvarez is actually a DH, so he shouldn't be in there. Mike Trout, then Julio Rodriguez, who I kind of get is not in there because he has emerged.
He only really started doing it lately.
But Kyle Tucker should be in there. Taylor Ward actually is 6th in the American League in outfielder F4. Byron Buxton is a good option. Adolis Garcia is 8th in the American League in F4 among
Taylor Ward since May 31st has a 637 OPS.
Yeah, and
it was going at, which is very funny because his OPS is still at 948.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the
he was out of his mind.
Very good. And then in 9th is George Springer, who is on the list. And then 13th is Giancarlo Stanton, who's there. And then Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is 19th on that list. So, the guys ahead of, there's 18 guys ahead of Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and only 4 of them are on this ballot. But, that was, Blue Jays fans had a major impact here. But who are you voting for in the American League outfield?
I got obviously Judge and then Trout Springer.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Kind of easy there. Stanton does have a higher OPS than Springer, but Stanton is a DH, doesn't have the defensive impact that Springer has. Then in the National League, Acuna is the leading vote getter. He automatically gets in. And then you have options of Mookie Betts, Adam Duvall, Starling Marte, and Jock Peterson. These options, this selection is kind of easy from the options we have. But I should talk about the National League outfielder snubs first. Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil is 2nd among National League outfielders in F4. He's not there. Brandon Nimmo's 3rd. Ian Happ's 4th. Juan Soto's not in there. That surprised me. He's 5th. Jurickson Profar, Kyle Schwarber, Dalton Varsho. Actually, I kind of get him not being in there. And then Jock Peterson is 9th among National League outfielders in F4, and Marte's 11th. But yeah, I'm going with Betts and Acuna's already in there, I guess, by default. Then Betts and Peterson.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got Acuna, Betts, and Peterson as well.
And then with DH, it's Yordan Alvarez.
This might be an interesting one.
And Shohei Ohtani. Well, it's interesting because, if you're looking at how they're doing in the DH role, it's Alvarez.
Yeah, but that's not what everyone's going to look at.
The overall player, that's a big question.
Yeah, that's why I think it's going to be interesting because poor Jordan has done literally everything in his power to set himself apart from all the other DHs.
Yeah.
And he's going to be an all-star either way, and he deserves it. But I just think, I mean, I'm voting for Shohei because we can't take this for granted. Like I think I touched on this like in a previous episode, but he's not putting up the same numbers he did last year. He's putting up better numbers pitching, but not as good offensively. But if he did this last year, we would be freaking out just as much as we actually did last year.
Yeah, it's funny. I think so. He has 4 F4 this year, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly 4.
Last year he had 8.1, so he's like on the same pace.
He is. Look, his pitching has just been so much better. He's not walking guys as much. He's striking out a large amount of batters. He's hard to hit. And the offense has been coming around. He currently has an 847 OPS, so he's been better, certainly. I think he can get that up to 900 this year, no doubt. It's funny because he set the bar so incredibly high last year after it was somewhat low, I guess, for his standard, because going into 2021, it was, can he do both for a full season? Didn't matter how he played, just can he do both for a full season? And not only did he do both for a full season, but he did amazing at both. And now it's like, oh, well, he's doing okay at one, so like, who really cares?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
So yeah,
as long as he's doing both at a decent enough level, he should always be starting the All-Star game in some fashion.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, yeah, Alvarez has been better in the DH role. There's a solid argument that Shohei Ohtani has been a better overall player. I don't know if he's going to get like the starting pitcher spot for the American League again. But it is funny, like if he comes in, I mean, it's the All-Star game, so you don't have to have the same rules as you do in a regular game. But like,
you know what I think the All-Star game should do?
What?
I think the All-Star game, because objectively the All-Star game is very boring. Like the highlight of All-Star week is the home run derby, and the All-Star game is kind of just there.
Yeah.
So what if the All-Star game was just banana ball? They play by Savannah Bananas rules.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that, but I kind of want to know more.
So, okay, I'll tell you the Savannah Bananas rules. The one that probably won't stick is 2-hour time limit. But there's like a certain rule book that they have.
I'm excited to hear.
Okay, yeah, okay. So number 1, maybe this one shouldn't necessarily be there, but number 1 is every inning counts, meaning that they score based on who wins the inning. Which is weird. Number 2, 2-hour time limit. There's probably no way they can do that.
Yeah.
Number 3, no stepping out. Good for pace of play. Number 4, no bunting. I don't think anyone's going to anyway. Number 5, batters can steal first, which is just on any pass ball. Like it could be 2-1 if the pitcher throws a wild pitch, the guy can just run to first.
Love that.
Number 6, no walks allowed. The rule is if a guy walks, the defense has to throw it to everybody. Like everyone on defense has to touch the ball, and the batter can run as far as he wants, like until that happens, basically.
That's funny.
One-on-one showdown tiebreaker. I'm not exactly okay. Let me see. One-on-one tiebreaker showdown. Each team picks one pitcher and one hitter to face off. The defensive team only has the pitcher, catcher, and one fielder. If the hitter puts the ball in play, he has to score and make it home to make it a run. If the ball is put in play, the pitcher and fielder are allowed to chase the ball and throw it to the catcher for a play at the plate. If the pitcher strikes him out or gets him out before he scores, he doesn't get a run. If the batter walks, he takes second, and the hitting team will bring another hitter to the plate. Sounds kind of complicated, but why not?
Yeah, sure.
Number 8 is no mound visits. I think that one, I don't think that affects the All-Star game too much. And then number 9, if a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out.
Oh yeah, that would bring some cool things into play. I mean, the NBA changed their All-Star game.
And they made it so much better.
Yeah, and I think the NHL did something similar a few years ago. They changed it to like a group of 3-on-3s instead of just one game. So I mean, yeah, MLB could stand to. I mean, to be fair, like
Baseball is probably a tougher sport to change around the rules like that than basketball or hockey, but you know what? I'm all for an all-star game reform in
yeah,
some way, shape, or form.
I will say though, like out of all the All-Star games, just one game on its own with regular rules, MLB has always had like the best one, but it's still not great. So I mean, yeah, why not tweak it a little bit?
Yeah.
So yeah, something to consider. And then last thing to talk about is nationally designated hitter. We kind of preface this, but like Harper can't play.
Yeah. I mean, statistically, Harper deserves it, but I'm giving my vote to William Contreras. Because, I mean, I feel like I don't want to say he deserves it more. He doesn't. But first of all, I'd be happy for him, and second of all, I mean, we got to get both Contrerases starting.
Yeah, that would be
that would be very wholesome and cool.
That would be pretty sick. That would be pretty nice. Yeah, that does it for the phase 2 of voting from Above Replacement Radio. I guess that will take us to players to highlight. So I guess we will start off with our Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 edition of Who do you have for us today?
So I'm talking about someone who has just been completely tearing it up. He won Player of the Week last week, and he continued that success into the previous week. Isaac Paredes of the Tampa Bay Rays has a 370, 431, 957, 1388 slash line with a 293 weighted runs created plus since June 21st. Much of that leads the majors over that span. He is the only player in all of Major League Baseball with an offensive runs above average of 8 and a defensive runs above average above 1 since that span. And before June 21st, he had a launch angle of 16 degrees. And in that span, he has a launch angle of 11 degrees. So he has hit the ball less in the air. I don't want to say more on the ground, but less in the air. During the span, 60% of his batted balls have been pulled. And that is the 7th highest rank among the 187 batters with at least 10 balls that were pulled. And on those batted balls that he's hitting to left field as a righty, he is hitting 524 with a 1762 slugging. That leads the league. And he has this is cool. So he has a 37.1% fly ball rate and a 61.5% home run to fly ball ratio. So he's hitting the ball in the air a lot, and he's also hitting it into the seats a lot, which is very funny because I think the only person with a higher home run to fly ball ratio than him over this span was Avisal Garcia, who has like a sub 10% fly ball rate.
That's funny.
But when you have a high fly ball rate, that makes it even more impressive. Before the span, 30% of his batted balls had a launch angle above 40 degrees. That was the 5th highest of the 371 batters with at least 50 batted balls during that span. And in the span, he's cut it to 14.3%. So I alluded earlier to the launch angle going down. That doesn't necessarily mean he's hitting it on the ground more. It means he's hitting it way in the air less. And that's been paying off for him.
Yeah. Isaac Paredes. I was looking at the leaderboards, and there was someone I really thought you were gonna go with that you didn't go with. So
you didn't go with him?
So I didn't go with him.
Okay.
So I took Isaac Paredes as well.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he in his last 12 games, yeah, he leads the league in home runs with 8, slugging, OPS, weighted runs created plus, and F4, leads the league in all those. You mentioned pull rate. So when the ball is in game day zones 1, 4, and 7, which is the inner third of the strike zone for righties. He is slugging at .955 when the ball is in the inner third of the strike zone. And that is the second highest slugging out of 287 batters with 100 plus batted balls this year. That's pretty remarkable. So when that ball's on the inner third, he's pulling it for a home run, most likely. And also defense, you mentioned his defense. Yeah, he's been pretty remarkable. Defensively, he had the ninth most outs above average in the month of June. So yeah, I mean, he's been slugging the ball very well offensively, and doing very well defensively as well. And might I say, this is addition 1 million on it. Don't trade with the Rays. Should be mentioned also. Literally like 2 days before opening day, he was traded to the Rays for Austin Meadows, a much higher profile player. And we were thinking like, oh, what is this trade? What's going on here? And Meadows has not been what Paredes has been. Paredes has been very, very good this year. Meadows has not. So another edition of don't trade with the Rays. You're going to regret it. No matter who's involved.
Austin Meadows is yet to homer.
That's funny. Funny how that works out. Well, Paredes has 8 in 12 games. Yes. Don't trade with the Rays, man. Even if it makes a lot of sense at the time.
Don't do it. They
not
know.
Gonna work. All right. So Isaac Paredes getting another.
I feel like we've already did the same player, but whether it be how about that is slightly alarming, more this year than we have last year. Like I think we've already broken that record because this is the fourth time we've done it this year.
Yeah. Well, what I will say is I feel like when I go to the leaderboards, I feel like there's less unusual players doing particularly well this year, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like that's happened more with how about that than slightly alarming.
Yes, because we both talked about Alejandro Kirk. We've both talked about Isaac Paredes. We both talked about Lucas Giolito on slightly alarming, and we both talked about Martin Perez.
Yeah.
And those are the 4.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like the guy stands out so much and you don't want neither of us to address
which apparently happened last time or this time.
Yeah.
I'll have to find who that guy is. Like you can't tell me who it is, but I'm just gonna have to find him myself.
Yeah. It's a little specific to you. He's
okay.
He's not like a super under the radar player, but like he's been doing very well.
And it's a guy that I've associated myself with on this show.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that leads into slightly alarming. Or I didn't lead into that how I usually do. That leads into our Tuesday, July 5th. Our Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 edition of Slightly Alarming. So who are you looking at today?
I apologize, Chris, because I am doing a player that is specific to you. Not a player to watch of yours this year. He was in the past. I know that this is a guy that you have some appreciation for, but it's AJ Pollock is my slightly alarming today of the Chicago White Sox. He's been having a tough year dealing with injuries, but since June 20th, he is slashing 163, 200, 186, 486 with a 9 weighted runs created plus. In that span, 15% of his batted balls have a launch angle of at least 59 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, 59 degrees. That ranks 8th out of the 176 hitters with at least 25 batted balls over that time. So he's hitting the ball way in the air a lot, like a straight pop up to the infield, basically. His strikeout rate has also increased by 4% during the span. And Pollock is also currently going through the worst walk rate in any season throughout his career. So he's striking out more, he's walking less, and that latter has been a whole season thing. And this is the big one. So Pollock is he's hitting and slugging 0.95 on changeups this year. Do you want to guess what his ground ball rate is on changeups?
60%.
60%. So he's had 18 batted balls against changeups. 17 have been ground balls. That is a 94.4% ground ball rate.
Wow.
94% of his ground balls or of his batted balls against changeups have been ground balls. That is the second highest rate among the 4,605 seasons since at least 2008, where a hitter had at least 10 batted balls against changeups. The only season that ranks above that was Juan Castro in 2010. He literally went 10 for 10.
Good for him.
Yeah, like the bare minimum of batted balls he needed to qualify for that, and he went 10 for 10.
Yeah. AJ Pollock. We're probably making show history here. I don't think we've ever matched
No way.
on how about that. It's slightly alarming.
You made a face when I said Pollock. I was like, no way.
Yeah. I mean, he's the last 14 games he's hitting 163 with a 386 OPS. Yeah, I mean, I think you went more in depth. I didn't know about the changeup thing. Yeah,
I kind of found it on accident, honestly.
Out of 179 qualifiers in this span, his on-base percentage and slugging rank 5th worst, and his OPS and weighted runs created plus rank 4th worst. In this 14-game span, he has only 1 extra base hit. Overall in the year, his average exit velocity is at its lowest in 5 years. His expected WOBA hasn't been lower since 2016. His pop-up rate is a career high by 3.4 percentage points. That goes along with your thing on, launch angles of 59 degrees or higher. That leads to a higher pop-up rate, and he's had a career high pop-up rate. And his slugging percentage on sliders has gone from 531 last year to 239 this year. So he's been bad on not only changeups, but sliders as well. So yeah, AJ Pollock from both of us getting a
slightly alarming. I mean, people always say, like, how come you guys never like debate or argue anything on the show? And the answer is just that we agree on everything, and this is the perfect example.
Yeah. And we try not to do it. We try not to have the same one. But sometimes
and not only that, but like I'm sure we've said this on the show before, but we've never reveal our how about that's slightly alarming to each other. Like you guys hearing it for the first time is our first time hearing it as well. I did not know Chris put Isak Paredes and AJ Pollock. He did not know that I did so, and we've never known who either of us do.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise we would never have the same one. And here we go. Also, by the way, this is the 3rd White Sox player we put on slightly alarming.
I've noticed.
Padres, we had 9, I think, last year. So we're seeing.
Right. So then they're not on pace, but
yeah, I mean,
they crash and burn in September.
Yeah, I mean the Padres, like, they probably only had like 1 or 2 in the first half of the year last year, and then they just
really picked up
like
at the
end. Every week we had like 1 Padre.
A new Padre, yeah.
Yeah. So White Sox could get there. Could get there for sure. So yeah, that does it for players to highlight. Not too much variety with this one, no. But hope you enjoyed it. But a lot of analysis on 2 particular players. So we hope you enjoyed that.
A very exclusive stat about changeups that you probably are not getting anywhere else.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah, crazy. Some crazy numbers on ground balls on changeups. So we'll do a previews of the week ahead. I'm talking about series to watch. Daniel is talking about the day-by-day pitching matchups to watch. It's Tuesday, so some of these series have started. And first series I'll talk about is Red Sox Rays. They're in the wild card. They're in wild card spots right now. Both teams are, going to be competitive the whole season. So that should be a good matchup. That series is 3 games. Red Sox won 4-0 yesterday. And the other series to watch is White Sox Twins. Twins are at the front of the American League Central. White Sox were always, they've been projected to be the top of the American League Central, but have been struggling. They've also been injured as well, so that should be considered. But the Twins won last night in extra innings, and that is a 3-game series, so they'll be playing 2 more. So Red Sox Rays and White Sox Twins are the series to watch this week.
Absolutely. Going through some day-by-day matchups. Starting with Tuesday, one that already started in the time that we've been recording this is Logan Gilbert versus Mike Clevenger in Mariners Padres in Petco. That's a good one. It's obviously over by the time you're listening to this. In Angels Marlins tonight, we got Noah Syndergaard versus Sandy Alcantara. Anytime he pitches, it's must watch.
Yeah.
You're going to have Jameson Taillon making his return to Pittsburgh tonight. I'm sure there'll be plenty of storylines this week in that series with Taillon, Clay Holmes, maybe like Diego Castillo or Roansy Contreras plays well in the series at some point. I don't know if Roansy Contreras is projected to start. I know he just did over the weekend. But he'll be facing Jose Quintana tonight. Cal Quantrill and Drew Hutchinson will be facing each other in Guardians Tigers. I forgot Drew Hutchinson was still on the team. Good for him. Nick Pivetta will be facing the Rays tonight for the Red Sox at Fenway. Ian Anderson, who's been in a bit of a slump lately, is going to be facing Andre Palante, who is a very interesting pitcher, in my opinion, on the Cardinals. I think he has like a negative launch angle against, like on the air. Zach Greinke will be making his return to Houston, facing Luis Garcia. That'll be a fun one. Michael Kopech will be pitching tonight for the White Sox against the Twins. Kyle Hendricks will be facing the Brewers tonight in Milwaukee. Alex Wood will be facing the Diamondbacks for the Giants in Arizona. And Herman Marquez will be facing the Dodgers for the Rockies at Dodger Stadium. And the matchup of the night, it'll come from Mets and Reds. This is a bit of a surprising one. I'm going to go with Max Scherzer making his return from the IL against Nick Lodolo, who I think is very interesting, very intriguing. He has a 5.52 ERA right now, but 3.8 strikeout to walk ratio, 11.7 strikeouts per 9, 3.1 walks per 9. The home runs and the hits allowed have been hurting him quite a bit. He has a BABIP against of 375 in 3 games, but you know what? He's intriguing, and I would give it a watch if possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if that game might be postponed, but we don't know. On Wednesday, you have Shane Bieber facing the Tigers for the Guardians at Comerica. You have Corbin Burns facing the Cubs for the Brewers at American Family Field. You have Jose Barrios and James Caprillion facing each other in Blue Jays, A's, and Oakland. You have Graham Ashcraft pitching for the Reds against the Mets at Cincinnati. Shohei Ohtani versus Trevor Rogers. That is a good one in Angels Marlins in Miami. You have Josiah Gray and Aaron Nola facing each other in Nationals and Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. Luis Severino, will be facing the Pirates for the Yankees at PNC. Corey Kluber will be facing the Red Sox against Brian Bayo, making his major league debut. He's a top prospect. That'll be an interesting one. Miles Michaelis versus Max Fried in Cardinals Braves. That is an exciting matchup. Alex Cobb versus Merrill Kelly in Giants Diamondbacks. Christian Javier in Royals Astros in Houston. Christian Javier has been pitching amazing in his last couple of outings. Tony Gonsolin will be facing the Rockies for the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. And matchup of the day or night comes from Matchup of the day comes from White Sox Twins Joe Ryan versus Lance Lynn.
Nice.
Yeah. Thursday, there's very few matchups announced. Almost nobody has announced their matchups yet, unfortunately. I'll just tell you everything that has been announced. Chris Bubich and Justin Verlander will be facing each other in Royals Astros. Bailey Falter will be facing the Nationals for the Phillies. Trevor Williams will be facing the Marlins for the Mets at Citi Field. Garrett Cole will be facing the Red Sox at Fenway. Matt Liberatore and Spencer Strider will be facing each other in Cardinals Braves. It's a couple of good young arms if you want to watch that. Joe Musgrove will be facing the Giants for the Padres. Matchup of the night. Oh, and Marco Gonzalez will be facing the Blue Jays for the Mariners in Seattle. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Blue Jays fans out there. I'm gonna suspend matchup of the night just because we don't have enough information, and I don't really feel confident putting any of these there right now. So yeah, matchup of the day. We'll have to see when there's more stuff announced.
Yeah. Very fair. Very fair. That'll do it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go to the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and boost some of the action up there. Just started posting some shorts. So
yeah, see that.
So yeah, view those. It'll boost our algorithm and yeah. I mean, maybe get some more traction for the podcast. And also go to follow us on social media. Follow me on Twitter @Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram @Daniel_Kern, and follow the show Instagram @Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. And we hope you enjoyed this one. And we hope to see you on Friday, where we will be talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball. Once again, see you then.
This conversation is over.